Welcome to the TEC Hatch Config dashboard. I'm going to go through 4 different sections in this video, but I'll be pretty brief about it. The first, I'm going to explain why are we doing this? What is the point of this website that you're on right now? The second is I'll talk about the hatch and the TEC hatch DAO and how things work, and these 2 sections that you have to design systems for. And third, I'll go through the mechanisms pretty briefly, just showing how to use the dashboard as quickly as possible. And then fourth, I'll dive more into how to use this dashboard and some of the strategies that you can think about and potential potential interactions between the variables that are maybe important. However, that last section at the end may be pretty long, so you can just skip it or turn me off if you think you can figure it out. But first, the why. Why are you on this website? Why are you designing? Why do you get to choose what the parameters are? Why do you have a say? The TEC is trying to do something different, and this is in conjunction with the Common Stack. This dashboard is actually a product of the Common Stack in an effort to change the way economies work. Our desire is to allow communities to build their own economies, and through a bottom-up approach. And up until this point, all economies have been designed top-down. There's a small group of people that in crypto land, we call it the technocracy. They get to decide what the parameters of the economy are. They get to decide 32 Ether. The community doesn't have a say. That's okay. This is always how it's been done, but we're trying to do something different. We want to have a bottom-up approach. We want to allow the community to have a say in how the economy is designed before it's launched, instead of just the classic, yeah, I like that idea, I will opt in. We want the community to be involved at the earlier stages. And we're in a very lucky position to be able to do that because, number one, this is a community of token engineers. And number two, we have a closed hatch. So let me talk about the 2 different sections of this dashboard that you will have to play with. So the first is the hatch. And in this system, the hatch is kind of the beginning fundraise section where people will be able to send wrapped XDAI into the hatch. And the amount, based on the amount of wrapped XDAI that is collected in the hatch, a certain amount of hatch tokens will be minted for the people with impact hours. And it is your job to design exactly how that system works. What is the relationship between the backers, the people who send in wrapped XDAI, and the builders, the people who actually get hatch tokens for free because they put in a lot of effort in the last several months to a year to make this a reality? And this is what's really interesting about this dynamic is the hatch is actually the ratio, the amount of tokens that is minted for each person is dependent on how much is raised and how much wrapped XDAI is actually collected in the hatch. So it's super cool. It's a very interesting dynamic. There's the membership ratio, which allows, based on your reputation in the trusted seed, you're able to put in more wrapped XDAI than the people who have less reputation or trust within the trusted seed. And so, and of course, like how long should the hatch be? So it's not just about the interaction between minting tokens for backers and builders, but it's also about the fundraise in general. And then, and I'll describe these things much later, just as a quick overview. The other piece of the other system you have to design is the actual DAO itself. After the funds have been collected, the DAO, the hatch will close, and no more funds, no more hatch tokens will be minted. And the DAO will now have to govern itself. Now, the DAO, of course, has the power to do lots of things. It has the power to mint tokens. It has the power to send funds anywhere. It has the power to do whatever it wants. It's a DAO. It's autonomous. But the main decision that we expect it to use is the commons upgrade. So we will use another dashboard to design the conviction voting and augmented bonding curve that the TEC intends to upgrade into. This is just the first initialization period, and these people will be the people who get to actually initialize the bonding curve. However, in this first setup, there is no bonding curve, there is no conviction voting. You don't have to worry about any of that. All you have to worry about is the hatch and the fundraise section, and then the DAO. And this DAO is based off of a normal Moloch DAO. So it has all the variables that Moloch DAOs have. And most people, of course, have never deployed a Moloch DAO, but there are some certain very specific variables that are there so that you can have this rage quit mechanism. And, but it's a very classic support required, minimum quorum, and an actual fee to create proposals, all of which needs to be figured out. But we'll go in that later. And I want to say it's sort of interesting, but now that I want to go into the mechanisms of how do you actually design this thing? Like if I want to propose parameters, okay, cool. My economy, my choice. I want to participate. Where do I start? Well, funny thing, you don't start here on this page. You don't start on the dashboard. The best place to start is actually on token log. So to choose which parameters we go with, we will use this awesome system built by Wesley at WSLYVH. He created this really cool system where you can vote on GitHub issues. So every time you propose parameters, it'll actually turn into a GitHub issue, and you'll be able to use your CStack score or the impact hours that you've earned to actually vote on these issues. So this is where you would want to start, because you don't necessarily need to start from the dashboard. What's really interesting is to see who are the top issues that are being voted on, and maybe you want to fork them and start with their parameters. So let's just look at the top three here. The first is defaults, our economy, the technocracy's choice. This is actually just the default parameters that Vitor came up with. The goal of this one was really just to make Zeptimist 100K, and there wasn't a whole lot of thought put into it. But hey, it might be a great place to start. It's really cool and interesting to compare these charts with each other. Once you understand what the charts mean, you can start comparing the different proposals to see if you like them. And you can see, okay, so this one has a nice variability between the, the hatchers. It has a non-redeemable pool. Okay, cool. Like once you get the hang of this, you can actually start seeing what these charts mean. It's like, oh, this has a lot for the backers. Look at that, how high that is. And this one has a lot for the builders, because look at all that white space there in the rage quit percent. And this one has a really high support required. And this one has a very low support required. And a lot of variability between the min goal and the max goal. Okay, like these are interesting things that you can see when you're comparing the different ones. And let's say that, this defaults our economy, the technocracy's choice. I'm not really into the technocracy, so sorry, Vitor, I'm not going to go with whatever parameters you chose. And now it's like, well, do I want to have a backer bias and try to raise a lot of funds? This is issue number 15. Or I could fork the small cap bias towards builders, fork of number 4. So this is also number 4 was another proposal that Vitor made. So I don't know. This one was made by Chuy. I kind of like that it came from the community and a non-developer first. So maybe I'll fork this one. And the way to fork is I can click here, or I can click here. Oh, sorry, no. This is how I see the original proposal. Or I can click here or click here, and it will start with these parameters. The same parameters that this proposal has will show up in the TEC hatch config dashboard. And now you just go through here and you change the parameters that you want. Like, yeah, I want to raise a lot of money, so I'll leave the minimum max goal and target goal the same. But I actually think that we can have a little bit of a hatch tribute. So I'll change that one. And I also think we don't need a hatch period to be that short. Like, why only a month? let's give it 35 days. It's at a week there. And also, I think it's just easier to have, I like this hatchmenting rate. I like it at 1, so I'm going to change it to 1 because that's what I want. And then you can go and, oh yeah, of course you have to click run simulation and see what changes. This output table is always very interesting. I added some hatch tribute, so that reduced the backers rage quit %, and also kind of affected this. You can see now there's this black triangle where there wasn't one before in the pie. And I can also scroll down to my name and see what this all means. Okay, so here's my, assuming I get about 140 impact hours, then I will get 10,000 hatch tokens, and that will be equivalent to about 10,000 wrapped X die being sent to the pool. So my impact hours are worth the same as someone who sent 10,000 wrapped X die into the pool. And I'll be able to rage quit if I don't like the commons upgrade decision, or maybe the DAO tries to do something crazy. I can rage quit and still get 9,300 back. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty high and very low risk. I'm only risking $700, assuming we hit the target goal, which is $10 million. So, well, you know, we have to raise a lot of money for me to have those stats. But I can, if I want to see what happens at other goals, I can actually come down here and click see your results. And there's this other table that kind of shows what happens, what are the results at each different amount that could be collected. So at $1 million, well, you know, the backers can rage quit 100% because we didn't meet the minimum goal. Minimum goal is 1.25 million. And so impact hour rate is $20. Total supply held by builders is 13%. We get $12,000 in the non-redeemable pool. It's the amount that can't be rage quit. And the backers can still rage quit 85%. So that's not bad. So if I put 10,000 wrapped X die in, I'd be able to rage quit 8,500 out. It's pretty low risk opportunity. If I don't like the commons upgrade, I can still exit with a decent amount. That's pretty cool. I really like this. So here I would just say, well, first I would say, yeah, you know, I forked this from issue 15. So I'll just put this in here. Fork from here. Change the hatch tribute and here for the Dandelion DAO voting strategy, everything looks good. You know, this toll fee, you know, the support required is just, that's a little ridiculous. I'll make that 90. So again, I'll say this, forked from that issue, changed support required to be reasonable. I mean, 90% is pretty high, but 95%, hey, why not? And then this one, hash strategy, I just changed hatch tribute and hatch period. And drastically lowered the minting rate. And of course, maybe you want to be more descriptive in here with why you made these changes. And then you can just update your results. You have to wait just a second to see your results on GitHub after you update this. And from there, boom, you can make a new name. This is the most important piece that you have here is to make a good name. So this is backer bias, high raise, better params than number 15. He. And then you submit the new issue and boom, you are voted. Now, I really hope that you can get to this point. Propose a parameters, design your own economy. It's very empowering. It's very fun. Get to this point, just propose something. And if you don't like it, if you think of something better and you repropose it, and you don't want this to count anymore, you can always come down here and close the issue. But I beg you, try to get to this point. Try to actually propose your own parameters. And then you can go and tell everyone that you have designed an economy. You have actually, you are a token engineer. You have created, you've taken the first step and actually designed a fundraise for a DAO. And that's really cool. So, but let's go back to this config dashboard. And this is kind of where we can go into the nitty gritty and talk about the different issues for each parameter. So first off, note that there are other links here. You can read about the actual spec here in the example hash spec. This explains the Aragon side of things. Your proposal here will actually will be used to determine the parameters for an Aragon DAO deployment that follows these. Praise to Sam and Paulo and Fabi and Vivi and the whole crew in the Commons Forum that have spent countless hours, Gabby and Chuy, myself, really working to get this out. Thank you, Tonga. It's a lot of work to work with these Aragon apps. And now that what it's done, it's a template, and you can use this dashboard to deploy, and maybe we'll even make it so it can just automate the deployment based off of the results of token log. Wouldn't that be cool? So first things first, you have these 3 goals. The minimum goal, if you don't get this amount, if we don't raise 1.25 mil, then it's over. Then everyone gets their money back. The maximum goal, this is an actual cap. So if we start to get close to that, there might be a little bit of FOMO, and people who haven't come in will put money in because it's the cap. But what's interesting is the maximum goal is also related to the membership ratio. Because if, for instance, if there's only 1 million C-Stack tokens and the membership ratio is 5 and the maximum goal is 25 million, well, then the maximum goal doesn't really matter, because the membership ratio says you have to have 1 C-Stack token for every 5 wrapped XDAI that you want to send. So this becomes the new max. The thing is, we don't know exactly how many C-Stack tokens will be minted, and they'll even be minted during the hatch period that will enable people to participate in the hatch. But the C-Stack score, which is what this C-Stack tokens represent, is capped on an individual level and for each member of the trusted seed. And to be a member of the trusted seed, you have to apply, you have to be accepted, and the Common Stack looks at your LinkedIn profile. And lately we've had to reject a lot of people who are just looking for airdrops. We're looking for real community members that are value aligned. And so that really makes it easier to trust everyone who comes in, and determine on the strategy and how you want to play the membership ratio and the maximum goal. You have a lot of options. Now, the target goal is very interesting. The target goal is more of a social variable than anything else. And if you want to click, you can actually click the question marks on the side to read about every parameter. And as it says, it's a social parameter. On the hatch page, it will say target goal, this amount. And there will be a little percentage there that says, hey, we're trying to collect this much money. So the question is that you have to answer is, how much money do you want the DAO to collect? And that's up to you. And it can be debated on the forums. The impact hour rate at target goals, so at this 10 million number, what should the impact hour rate be? The impact hour rate is a very interesting variable. It's effectively the equivalent amount of funds per impact hour that are used. This number is used to mint tech tokens for the builders, the people with impact hours. So if the impact hour rate is 20, then, and I have 10 impact hours, then I will get as many hatch tokens as someone who sent in 200 wrapped XDAI to the DAO, because I have 10 impact hours. The impact hour rate is 20. We reached the target goal. So 10 times 20 is 200. And so it's kind of like my 10 impact hours is like sending 200 wrapped XDAI into the DAO during the hatch. And effectively, what we're doing when we're designing this, and I'll bring this over here so it's a little bit easier to see. But when we're designing this parameter, this curve with the impact hour rate at target goal and impact hour rate at infinity, we're effectively just describing this curve with a point and a line. So the line is the asymptote of this curve. So let me step back. So this curve it's just a line on with the y-axis being impact hour rate, the amount of the impact hour rate, and the bottom is the total wrapped XDAI collected. So this curve looks like a square root of 2 curve, except it has an asymptote. An asymptote is like a theoretical maximum that it can never cross. So as the curve goes up, well, I guess I should go this way. As the curve goes up, it will never get to that line. It'll never quite get to this amount. So the impact hour rate, so basically we have this curve that goes through the point 0, 0 and goes through the target goal impact hour rate that you set. And then there's an asymptote, and that describes the curve. Now, really, the main way to do this is just to figure out, hey, what rate do I want impact hour people to get? And so you can come down here and you can say, oh yeah, okay, so I want, I think that my impact hours were worth this amount. I mean, you could straight up do that if you have impact hours, and you can use that as a factor to design this economy. But in general, I use this min goal, target goal, and max goal, and to kind of decide this. So we'll just put this back up here. It's 75, and now you can see, okay, so at 1.5 mil or 1.25 mil at the min goal, they get $50 per impact hour. I think that's pretty solid, especially when the rage quit percent is so high. And target goal is 75, max goal is 107. Yeah, that seems pretty cool. I'm down for that. And look at this, you still get some good variability, but mostly because we're going for such a range. And we'll bring the target goal back up here to 10 mil. Now we really see a good range. Look at that, 22, 75, and 94. So it's kind of interesting. Notice that I just changed it from 75 and clicked run simulation. It's always a good strategy to make one change and then click run simulation and see what happens. When you start making multiple changes, you start to lose a feel for what is really happening. This first chart, this backers rage quit chart, is useful sometimes, but for the most part, it doesn't really show you so much that you need to worry about. I really use the impact hour rate and the outputs overview for tuning this this impact hour rate at infinity and impact hour rate at target goal. So yeah, and the hatch tribute also has some effect, but you probably know what you want the hatch tribute to be. It's just like what percentage can be rage quit by the people who put money in, and what percentage is guaranteed to move forward even if someone wants to rage quit. So you can kind of think of the hatch tribute as an amount that someone is donating to the TEC hatch DAO and the TEC cause when they choose to participate. So when they send money in, they know that 1% is going to go on and it's out of their control. And also they probably know that we call it the cultural build tribute, but the builders are also going to get a percentage. And so this is where the rage quit percent kind of aggregates those two tributes. So the backers rage quit percent goes up as more funds are raised. And you can kind of control this. If you make this higher, then this curve is flatter. Like the variations between the main goal, target goal, and max goal are less. Same with just in general. And the lower this is, the more curvy it is. But it also has something to do with the amplitude of the impact hour rate. So but if you keep playing with it, you'll figure out some things. Hatch period is pretty straightforward. It's just how long the hatch should go for. You know, if you think we should just kick it out, then and get it done in 15 days, then sure. But maybe you want it to be longer. I know I want more time to work on the commons configuration dashboard, so let's go long. And then the hatch minting rate. The hatch minting rate is more of also a social parameter. It's like if you can make it really low like this, and then one hatch token in the following TEC token will be worth more than Bitcoin. It'll be huge. This could be like if we have it that low and we raise $10 million, there'll only be one token minted. So everyone will have just fractions of a token, and that one token will be worth millions of dollars. Or you can make it more of the Doge style approach, where here we have, what is this, 10 quadrillion tokens minted. So it's up to you how many tokens are minted, but it really doesn't have much of effect on the relationship between builders and backers. Just another social parameter. But social parameters are just as important as any other economic parameter. I really like this redeemable of DAO's wrapped XDAI chart because it shows the variability between the builders and the backers really well at the various goals. And so it's really nice to see this, like how much tokens go to the backers. This is a very backer biased configuration, or how much goes to the builders. The builders are the blue, the people with impact hours and the blue triangle. And we already talked about this chart, but this chart is the predicted individual impact hour results. Is very useful besides looking at people's names and seeing how much money they get. It's also really nice just looking at the relationship between impact hours, how much wrapped XDAI it takes to mint this TEC in this column. So like here with the minting rate at 1, it's pretty easy. So maybe I'll change this to 10 just so we have some variability. But here you can see Zeptimus is predicted to be the #1 impact hour earner. And he will, under this conditions, he'll get 500,000 TCH tokens, hatch tokens. And that would be the equivalent of if someone sent $53,000 into the hatch. But that doesn't mean that those hatch tokens are worth $53,000. If Zeptimus decides that he doesn't want to participate in the commons upgrade at all, maybe he needs to go buy a house or something and needs a down payment, he can rage quit, and he can rage quit all of them. People with impact hours can rage quit. However, that's probably not going to happen because, and people may only rage quit a little bit, if that's possible. But in the end, if we follow through with the commons upgrade and we attach these funds to a bonding curve, then there's a good chance that this would be a foolish move to rage quit. So, but because of the builders rage quit percent, the backers rage quit percent, this percentage is the same for the builders. It's just the builders rage quit percent is effectively infinite because they didn't necessarily have to put in any ref dex die. So the backers rage quit percent makes more sense. And at the target goal, the rage quit percent is 92.27%. So if someone puts in 100 die, then they will, 100 Wrapped X die, then they would be able to rage quit 92 Wrapped X die. And this is the same for people, the builders. If they want to rage quit, then they will get 92% of what would have been the equivalent to mint at the target goal. And this is equivalent to mint at the target goal is just the impact hour rate times the number of impact hours they have. It's relatively simple once you get to look at all the math. But what's really cool about this table is you get to see the relationship. So let's say that later on, once one of these things is picked, or if you know about how much funds you're thinking about putting into the hatch DAO, you can go and look into this chart and say, oh yeah, I'm going to put in about $10,000. So, okay, well, here's Livia has equivalent to mint is $10,000. So, okay, I'd be able to rage quit 9,400. Okay, cool. And I'd get 102,000 tokens. Okay, that's interesting. And it doesn't really matter that it's Livia and she has 136 impact hours. This chart is still very useful. Okay, so I think that pretty much covers the hatch configuration. The next step is the acceptance criteria for a passing proposal in the DAO. This is always fun, and it really depends on the hatch strategy that you are picking. In this one, we have a backer's bias to raise a lot of funds, for instance. So this person's DAO strategy was assuming, hey, we're going to get a lot of people, a lot of funds, but they might not be as active since, you know, they're not necessarily engaged like the builders are. So they went with a lower quorum, where for a proposal that is more backer bias, oh, these are both backer bias. How about this one? For a proposal that's more biased towards builders, you can see the blue triangle is much larger in the min goal, target goal, and max goal. And look at this nice curve, and you can see this white space here. The backer's rage quit percent. That's effectively the funds that the percentage of the token supply that's held by the builders, or really the percentage of the funds that the backers put in that went to the builders. With this kind of a DAO that has more builders, that has more tokens held by people who are engaged, you can have a higher quorum, and you can have a lower support percent, and you can have maybe be more nimble and have a lower vote duration and these sorts of things. So you do have to, these two sections are connected to each other. The strategy that you use for the hatch affects how you want governance to play out for the DAO. And so that's why we put it first, of course. Yeah, so then let's just look at these things. This chart was one of YGG's creations. It's really cool. It basically shows all of the possibilities that can happen if any time a vote is created. So the total, the y-axis is the percentage of yes votes, and the x-axis is the percentage of people who voted. And so if 20% of the token holders vote, tokens held vote, then this green space above here, the percentage of people who have to say yes, then it has to be right here. So you can see that there is a smaller acceptance space here, but if I make the support required 60, then there's a lot more possible vote outcomes that would be accepted by the DAO to pass it. Also, the quorum is super cool. It's this yellow line. So if only 20% of the people vote under these conditions, the proposal will not pass. It has to be past a quorum. It has to be in this green area for a proposal to pass. And then we have vote proposal buffer. This is kind of an edge case variable, which you can read about if you'd like. It's very edge case and not likely to matter. The tollgate fee, this surprises a lot of people, but it's because of this vote proposal buffer, you probably want a high tollgate fee, especially the higher you make the vote proposal buffer. Basically, the vote proposal buffer is if you vote yes on a proposal, then you cannot rage quit from the DAO until that proposal is executed. So let's say you vote yes on a great proposal right when it comes out, but then someone makes a horrible proposal a few minutes later. Well, you are locked in, even though you want to rage quit because of this horrible proposal that was just proposed right after you voted. You're locked in, and now you have to try to rage quit in that 2-minute window between when you voted yes and when this other proposal was proposed. And that's really hard. Basically you have 2 minutes after this, the first vote is executed, that you can actually rage quit. And maybe, this is a problem. So to fix that, Moloch DAOs create a vote proposal buffer that says, hey, for this period of time, you can, once one vote is proposed, you cannot propose another vote. So this edge case creates also an attack vector where we need a high tollgate fee to make sure that no one spams the DAO to actually slow down the voting. So this is effectively, you can think of the tollgate fee as the cost per hour, and you just divide tollgate fee divided by the proposal buffer hours. And in this case, it's 4,000. It would be 4,000 divided by 12. So it's like $300 an hour. And I think that makes sense because for this DAO, because it's trying to collect so much money. And then we have the vote duration. The vote duration is just how long of a voting period you want. Like, if you get, in this case, you get 5 days to vote for every vote. And then rage quit delay is the 72 is in hours, and it's the amount of time after the vote passes that its execution is delayed so that people can rage quit. Okay, so that's kind of an overview of the DAO. Remember to make sure to put in a good strategy and explain your thoughts. But there is a cap of characters that are allowed here. So if you try to make a proposal and share your results on GitHub and you get a weird error message, it's because you put too much content in here and filled up the available space. So you can always edit your results. You can always add more strategy in your GitHub issue, and you can even do it after the fact. If you need, we can support you in this to edit your GitHub issue. Many people actually have access to do that, so we're a very trusted community, and we can help make sure that your strategy gets said. So and always remember to update your results, and definitely get in there and share results on GitHub. Oh, I should talk about a couple more things. So in this summary, this kind of is a verbal walkthrough of all of the parameters and what they mean and how they have influence on how the DAO works. So, and so you can just read this. It's very interesting. It's definitely worth the read. And then this is probably the most important table in the whole DAO dashboard. It tells you the amount that is raised at each of these amounts. What is the impact hour rate with this configuration? What is the total supply that the builders get minted for them? So of the total supply of the hash tokens, what percentage are held by people with impact hours? Also says how much money cannot be rage quit from the DAO and only is collectively governed. And it says the percentage of funds that can be rage quit. So the backers rage quit percent is like, hey, if I send in 100 Raft X die and then I don't like the commons upgrade, or I don't like what's going on with the TEC hatch DAO, I can rage quit this amount out of it. So so if I put in, if I put in $100 under these parameters and we raise $2 million, I can get $89 back if I don't like how things are going. And if we raise $25 million, I can get $95 back if I put in $100. So everything is dependent on how much we raise, and there's a really nice alignment of incentive where the impact hour rate, the value of each impact hour goes up, and the percent that the backers put in that they can rage quit out also goes up. So there's this really nice alignment of incentive between the backers and the builders with this hatch scenario. So yeah, that is the deep dive into the hatch config dashboard. If you listen to this whole thing, you really have a good understanding of what we're doing with the token engineering commons hatch, and just wait until the dashboard comes out. And yeah, so well, thanks for listening to this whole thing, and we'll talk to you soon. Good luck, and propose those parameters. Get out there. Oh, and make sure you vote on token log for your favorite parameters. We'll have lots of config hatch parties that you can go to. Just go to the token engineering calendar or ask anyone in the token engineering comments about when these hatch parties are. There's going to be so many this week where we all get in there and we can ask questions and we can share screen and play with the dashboard together in a community setting. So it'll be really fun. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or anyone